Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
The #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with contentatscale.ai.
Okay, how many of y'all have never seen me speak before? Decent amount. So a lot of you have seen me do my thing. I feel a little silly going last because they're both way smarter than me about this sort of stuff, and they work at way bigger places. I'm at a smaller boutique agency in the States, so I took more of a 10,000-foot view. I'm trying to help you change the way that you think about doing SEO as a service to the clients that you work with. And for those of you that have seen me before, you know this doesn't really fit for me and my style, so let's switch to the real title slide. There we go. We gotta go superheroes, right? So she already introduced me, so we're cool there. But I always like to point out that I have a weekly video series called Local Search Tuesdays that comes out every Tuesday. It'd be like kind of in the afternoon for you over here because I release it US time. But it's short, 3 to 5 minute clips of specific tactics that help you be better at local SEO. And it's goofy. I shoot in front of a green screen, so like my evil twin comes out and I talk to myself and do weird stuff because I try to keep myself entertained, basically. And also, you'll see me walking around shooting videos tomorrow for some of the videos in my series. And this is a goofy picture of me speaking at MozCon a few years back. Also, it's really hard on this stage because I can't really walk all the way around. And I'm usually like a big walker, but I don't want to stand in front of the slides. So it may look awkward, but I'm trying to like walk in the like just space here. But I'm lucky enough to be a really popular conference presenter. I'm not bragging, I'm setting up a joke. I get to speak at a ton of conferences all over the world. I spent half of December in Bali for a conference with Patrick. We actually have a picture. Come by and ask to see later. We have a picture of Patrick and I together, and a monkey is taking the selfie. It's super great. But because I see so many conferences, sometimes the conferences that I go to, it's not really experts on stage talking. It's salespeople just trying to pitch their product. And those salespeople are not very engaging as speakers. Typically, they're going to stand behind the podium and talk in a quiet monotone like this. And even worse, a lot of the conferences don't have the monitor here where the speaker can see their slides. So you end up just kind of seeing the side of their head because they're watching their own slides. And even worse, they typically don't have much design in their slides. So there's no pictures, there's no screen grabs, there's no beautiful starts with a gorgeous picture of a beach and people talking about what do you need to do to think about, you know, how you're gonna change and what you're gonna do. And it's just black Arial font against a white background. And typically it's a ton of bullet points and they're packing the slides with bullet points and they just sit there and read bullet points the whole time. That's not fun, right? Nope. Plus, you may not know this. They've done scientific studies that prove that bullet points kill kittens. So today we're gonna keep all of the kitties safe and no kittens are gonna die. And obviously there was a superhero reference there at the beginning. I've got both of my arms sleeved up with movie portrait tattoos. My entire leg is tattoos of the Goonies. Next week, I'm probably gonna hit 1,000 movies in my iTunes library, and I see a movie in the theater every week. I am obsessed with movies. So every time I do a presentation, I like to share my love of film with my love of whatever I'm talking about related to digital marketing. So there's always a theme. Today's theme is obviously superhero movies. So I always include at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. We have 92 references to superhero films today. There's gonna be some weird, obscure shit when I get back in the 70s. So if you're kind of curious what that movie is, there's always attribution on the side. So you'll have a kick-ass list of movies to watch besides learning some cool stuff. Who's pumped? All right, so let's get this going. Why the long face? Are you spending too much time looking up at the competition, getting better results because they do better SEO than you? You don't have to have a huge brain to succeed at SEO. Even though sometimes it seems like the work that we do is a lot of magic and voodoo, it's really not. Today I'm here to help you change the way that you think about providing SEO as a service. Because sometimes people think that it's really hard, but it's not if you think about it the right way. So today I've got some hot tips to share with you. Nobody laughed at that? Come on, that's funny, guys. That's like my favorite joke of the day, and everybody's like, meh, 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 so maybe I'll just sit down. I'm kidding. So, click. I'm gonna show you how to crush the competition by thinking a different way about how you provide SEO as a service so that you will be more kick-ass at what you do. Get it? Kick-ass? This is funny stuff today, trying to wake everybody up. So, Most of the time when you go to a conference like this, you're listening to an expert up on stage talk about SEO strategies and SEO tactics to help you be better at your job. It's all about, here's how to do SEO. But people rarely talk about the business side of SEO, the process side of SEO. And I actually don't do SEO anymore, even though I speak at SEO conferences all over the world. I'm the chief operating officer. I'm a process guy. I'm about efficiency and operations. And that's why I'm here to talk about this stuff today. Because nobody talks about how to deliver SEO as a product. That service is a product that you are selling to the clients that you work with. Even if you're in-house, the work that you do is a product that helps your company do better. So that's what we need to talk about. Most of the agencies out there just do SEO because they know how to do SEO and they've always been doing SEO, but they never put any thought into why do we do things the way that we do. So that's what we're going to talk about today. There's no planning at all. Also, by the way, I forgot to point it out. This whole bit at the beginning here for all the Marvel nerds is the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in timeline order. So it's like super nerdy, right? So there's no thought about the competition either. Like, how many agencies are like, yeah, we sell SEO, but like our competition sells SEO, but what's different about us compared to them? Nothing really, because we all do SEO, right? You got to think about these things if you want to be successful in the long term. SEO gets delivered to clients without thinking about the product side, without having a roadmap for success. And it's just checklist. Every client gets the exact same thing because that's the way things have always been done at that agency. Seems kind of silly, right? Like, when you start thinking about things like this, it makes perfect sense to go, holy shit, maybe I should start thinking about it this way. Because everybody's like, well, I already know how to optimize sites, so like, how hard is it to just go optimize sites, right? How hard is it? Turns out it's really fucking hard if you want to scale your agency and grow in the future and have a long-term successful career in SEO. So you have to change your mindset. And product management and project management get used the same. They're kind of interchangeable terms, but it's two very important different roles. Project management is responsible for a product or a project that already exists. You are managing something that is already a viable product. Product management, you are taking it from the idea through conception, through creating it, through delivery. So it's the full life cycle of what you're doing. You cannot deliver, gosh, it's hard not to walk in front of that screen. You can't deliver a quality product if you're not thinking about the product management side of things. You can't be scalable and be successful if you're not thinking about the process side of things. There are tons of agencies out there, ridiculous number of agencies, ridiculous number of freelancers that do SEO. So how are you going to attract clients if everybody else is doing the same thing? Everybody in this room does SEO, so what's different about her? What's different about him? What's different about her? We all do the same shit, right? If you're going to be successful, you have to differentiate what you do. And if you're not getting good results for your clients, you're not going to keep clients. And it becomes this revolving door of clients where you're trying to onboard as many new clients as you're losing just so that you can maintain the level of revenue that you have. A lot of times, people talk about this at conferences all the time. You tell your clients, you know your site. You know everything about what you do. But you need to take a step back and look at your website like an absolute noob that's never bought that product or service and figure out how easy it is for customers to find the answer that they're looking for. You guys hear this all the time. Somebody talked about it in a session earlier today. But how often do agencies or in-house departments take a step back and look at themselves like a noob and ask themselves, why do we do shit the way that we do shit? Have you ever done that? Have you thought about why do you do SEO and provide the service that you provide the way that you do? You probably didn't. You probably got hired into that role and just kept on trucking, doing the same stuff. Why do you do it the way that you do it? You have to think about this. Why are you set up the way that you're set up with the processes that you have? Take a step back, think about the operational side of doing SEO. Even if you're already established and you're working at an agency or working in-house, it doesn't mean you can't take a different perspective and adjust what you do so that you'll be better and more successful in the future. So product management helps you get better results and deliver a better service that clients will love. Now, when you talk at a high, like 50,000 foot view, there's kind of a couple of different thought processes behind product management. A lot of people use the 3-pillar idea. I'm going to walk you through it quickly, but I don't really like it, so we're going to go fast. So you start with product discovery, where you're like, hey, what are our customers' needs? And like they already talked about some of this stuff. What's the competitive landscape? Cool. What are the opportunities and what can we do with that? And then you move on to product planning and like, what's our vision? And what elements should be prioritized? And what's the roadmap for this product? And all of these like blah, 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 because I hate this 3-pillar thing. And then you finish with product development and you define the requirements and walk through the whole document kind of thing that he was just talking about, then product testing, and then iterative optimization and blah, 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 blah. Right? I like the 7-stage concept better. The 7 stages of product development work a lot better. So it's a more detailed approach. It's a better fit for the agency model where it's not like, hey, we're developing software, we're developing a product, we're developing the service as a product. So pillar number 1, or 7 steps, 7 pillars, whatever you want to call it. Step 1, market research. You have to understand the needs of your potential customers. What is the problem that they have and how are you going to solve that problem? And who are those clients? Are you going to serve anybody or are you going to niche up and do one particular vertical and that's all you're going to do? Because if you're just working on one vertical, that's a totally different group of clients that you're targeting with different needs than if you're going to say, we're going to go for everybody and just help anyone that we can possibly help. It also matters to figure out that, to then know who the competition is that you're selling against. Because you do have to sell against competitors. And then it's on to the idea stage. You have to think about how you're going to solve those problems. You have to work methodically through those opportunities. And this is where you pull out the whiteboard and the cool stickers and all of the things that we saw in the first presentation, because you have to brainstorm how you're going to solve the problem and plan those solutions that are going to meet those customers' needs. Because, yeah, everybody knows they need SEO, but that's not really their problem. Their problem is they need to sell more of this widget, or they need to sell more of this product, or they need more customers to see their stuff, or whatever their problem might be. Then you move on to the technical specifications and figure out how you translate the solutions for those problems into specific actions that you can perform or that your team can perform. And then you want to create requirements for that product that you're going to release. And by the way, if you didn't see the flash, it got totally shit on by everybody, but it's actually really awesome because you get to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. It was the most epic part of the thing. So then you create a prototype outline of that product, which is basically a prototype outline of the service that you're going to provide. Then you move on to road mapping and build the plan of, okay, now we have kind of the general idea. Let's figure out how we're going to do this, create that general outline of this is what our process is going to look like. This is the vision that we have. And describe those objectives that you need to meet to make this a viable product or service. You got to know where you're going, but you also have to understand that there's a lot of different ways that you can get there. I want to leave this building right now. There's about 35.2 different ways to get outside from this room. This is like the most confusing conference center ever, right? Our goal is to get outside, but there's 35.2 ways to get there. You've got to think about that. Your goal is to do SEO, but there's a lot of different ways to do it. Then you have to prioritize. There's 35.2 different ways to get out of this building, but what's the fastest if there's a fire? Or what's the one that's going to take us by the bar at the end of the day so we can grab a beer and hang out and network? Or what's the one that's going to be closest to my hotel because maybe it started raining outside because, hey, it's Brighton, right? You got to figure these things out so that you can do better work. And then you decide which of those solutions are going to provide the most value to clients. Kind of like when she was showing you the whiteboard and they had the little colored stickers where people are voting on what they think was the best. That's how you do this. Then you think about the different elements, link building, content. How are we going to do this and how are we going to do this that solves those client needs? Then you actually start building the product. This is 6 steps in of the 7 steps, and this is the first time you're actually doing shit. Most of us jump in and start right here, and that's where we screw up. So this is where, if you're talking about project management instead of product management, this is where project management starts. 6 steps into the 7 steps. Then, click, click, click. This might be a problem, because there we go. So for SEO, this is actually creating the service that you are going to provide to your clients. It's also documenting that process. You have to have documented processes so that everyone knows exactly what to do. Then you release and iterate. This is where you're doing the actual service. You're talking to clients, you're seeing what results you're getting, and then you're updating that product. You've got to get real-world feedback from your clients and then update so that you can make it the best that it can possibly be before you release it for public consumption. That is so weird how like over here this clicker doesn't work. So you monitor results, collect client feedback, and then use that process and update it. So that was all the interesting stuff. Now, I'm an operations guy. I got hired at Search Lab to come in for two reasons. Number one, I was already a conference speaker and they needed someone that could get them more visibility so that we could get more leads. Number two, they needed somebody that knew process stuff, and I had already taken several other agencies from minimal or zero revenue to multi-million dollars a year, and they wanted me to do the same thing there. So when I came in, I told them I needed to tear everything apart because they were treating SEO like paid search. Every client had a budget. And every month, that budget, I got out of order. They had the typical agency setup where you had teams of experts, link builders, content people, tech SEOs, client-facing like project managers or like account managers. And so it was different people every month. And even on the link building team, you might have one link builder this month and a different link builder next month. It was a really weird setup. And then everyone had a monthly budget like paid search. So it would come to the end of the month and you might have a client and they're like, oh my God, we got $1,000 left to spend with this client. And it would be up to the random person that was working that part this month to go, okay, what do we do? So there was no cohesive strategy for any client. It was like, oh guys, we got $1,000. If it was somebody that liked to do link building, then they would, and it was their turn to work that client, then all right, cool, man, we're gonna do some link building. Let's do $1,000 of link building. But if it was somebody else that didn't like to do link building and they like to write content, okay, cool, we're gonna go write some content. If it was somebody that did tech SEO, they're like, man, let's go jigger the code. I don't want to go mess around with content. That stuff's too hard to do. So there was no cohesive strategy for anything other than let's spend the time to use up that budget. So I came in, I said, let's tear it all down. The only way I'm going to come work for you is if you give me carte blanche to destroy everything that you've built at this agency and do things differently. Not just with this whole weird PPC process, but to completely change the structure of the agency and the way that we provided SEO as a service to our clients, because I wanted to take the product management approach and do things the right way instead of going, well, this is how you guys have been doing it, so let me come in and just try to keep doing the same thing and we'll see what happens. So we pretty much focused on car dealers at the beginning because for most of my career, I worked at agencies that only did SEO for car dealers. For like 13 or 14 years, that's all I did. So I was very much a known entity in automotive. If you put me on a stage at a conference and there's at least 10 car dealers in a room, it's a guarantee that I will sell SEO to at least one person. So we knew the pain points specifically because we were targeting the automotive vertical in the United States. We knew all of the problems that they had. We knew all the problems that they also had with the agencies that worked with car dealers and how all of those agencies sucked in various ways. So we knew what our target market was, we knew what their pain points were, and we knew what the competition looked like. So I created everything that we did based on knowing those things. To specifically create something to come up and go, hey, Mr. Dealer, I know you have all of these problems. I'm different, and here's why. And that resonated with people because everybody else did the same bullshit. And we came in and did it differently because, again, I shifted everyone's perspective and thought about the why behind what we were doing. So we switched to a boutique setup. Instead of teams of experts, I hired jack-of-all-trades people. So one person owns everything for an account. They do all the link building, all the content, all the tech SEO, all the reputation management and review stuff, all the Google Business Profile stuff. And I don't have account managers. The consultant that does the work talks directly to the client. And consultants max out at 10 standard level accounts. Now, obviously, I've got some consultants that have like 3 accounts because they've got larger accounts because everything can be customized. But that's how we changed our structure internally. And we have a tactical framework. So people use strategy and tactics interchangeably. I love the way that Andy Jarvis explains it. Strategy is where are you going, and tactics are how do you get there. So we have a tactical framework that says, at a bare minimum, these things happen every month. There will always be time for link building, always time for content, always time for tech, always time for Google Business, always time for reviews. But then each consultant can customize what needs to be done for each client based on those clients' needs, but still within that tactical framework. We focused on customer service as well. It's not just about doing SEO, it's making sure that when you're talking to your clients, those clients are happy. So we made it also extremely easy throughout the entire process and lifetime that a client worked with us to see how different we were and to continually prove how different we were. It also made it easy for us to scale and grow at a massive rate without growing pains, without problems, without fucking stuff up, so that we could continue to grow and not have problems. So it resulted in ridiculous sales and drastically increased retention of the clients. I'm almost out of time. So I started in 2019, right before COVID hit. Beginning of 2020, we had our annual planning meeting, and we were at about $1 million a year in annualized revenue. We set a 3-year goal to end 2022 at $3 million. So that's adding $2 million of annualized revenue over 2 years, because I knew that we were gonna have to tear things down and start it back over. It was so successful, we ended at $8.5 million instead. So we added $7.5 million of revenue in 3 years because of this approach. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it kind of worked. So take a step back, look at what you do like an absolute noob, and ask yourself, why do you do things the way that you do? Follow the 7 steps, update your services, and you're gonna fucking win. Thanks for sitting through that fire hose. I know I went really fast, I'm out of time. Now you won't be down and depressed when you're thinking about what you're doing for SEO, because you had all these hot tips. No, it's not the same joke. This is Ghostwriter 2, thank you very much. You'll no longer be the underdog, and everybody, both internally and on the client side, will be super happy. Thank you so much for listening today. Also, for anybody that wants to get the slides, there's a list of all the movies at the end, super extra bonus. So thank you so much for coming. I don't think we have time for questions, right? No? Thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.